Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. So glad to see Triple G being petty. It is so refreshing to see this man stand up for himself and take digs at Canelo. So, of course, Triple G is being asked a lot of questions by the media about why this fight between he and Canelo hasn't happened, or the third fight hadn't happened, about how much longer does he continue, how much longer is he going to continue boxing, what does he see himself in the next couple of years, what's he going to do if he wins, if he loses, does he think that Canelo would have fought him had Canelo not lost to Bivol, and the relationship on him and Canelo, is it going to get better? So Triple G they asked him, why does he feel Canelo has so much animosity towards him? And Triple G's, what his words were, maybe it's just the side effects of certain substances in the body. Let me tell you, man, that is going to get under Canelo's skin. Now, if we want to talk about who's winning the psychological war here, psychological warfare, it's Triple G. There's nothing Canelo can say to get under Triple G's skin. Triple G just doesn't care. But he knows exactly what to say to get under Alvarez's skin. And he is taking digs at him at every opportunity. He's talked about the things Canelo has said about him as far as the language he used and stuff. And Triple G just says that it's unexplainable, it's inexplicable. He says he doesn't know how to explain it, why Canelo's behaving that way. He says he just treats this as a sporting event. It's nothing personal. But when it comes to those words Canelo is using, he said it's just unexplainable. He doesn't understand. And he said, again, it's probably just the side effects of whatever he has in his body. And let me tell you, Triple G is not a guy, he's not a guy to be petty, but he's obviously human and he doesn't like it. But, you know, although I'm picking Triple G to win the fight, and although I'm glad to see Triple G standing up for himself, there are some people who feel that Triple G's legacy is cemented, but they feel that this is the fight, almost a must-win fight for Triple G because of what it represents for him. And Miguel Cotto went on record saying that he feels that this is really the last chance for Golovkin to pull off a major win against a major name. Because they're fighting at 168 for Canelo's 4 belts. But Golovkin still has 2 belts down at 160. So whether Golovkin wins or loses, well, if he wins, great. But whether he wins or loses, he can drop back down to 160 and battle either Charlo or battle Andre and try to unify the 160-pound division or become undisputed, right? But Golovkin isn't worried about all that. He's not. Now, when they asked him if he felt Canelo would have fought him, even if he would have beat Bivol, he said he felt the fight still would have happened, whether he defeated Bivol or not. He's like, that is not something that he was concerned about. And the reason he says that is because of all of the money behind these guys, okay? Now, we know the two biggest fights this year, okay? As far as what the fans want to see is Spence and Crawford, and then Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields. Those are the 2 biggest fights that fans want to see. But they're not the biggest fights in boxing. Because, remember, boxing is still a business. The biggest fight in boxing right now, when it comes to how much money can be generated, is, for right now, it's Canelo and Golovkin, and then coming up is Usyk and AJ. Okay? So it is what it is when it comes to that. But Triple G has said he doesn't plan on retiring. He said at age 40, at 160 pounds, he's all muscle. He feels great. He's still beating guys who are 10 years junior to him and dominating them. and he doesn't have any intentions on retiring, whether he loses or if he wins. But he does recognize that at age 40, he can't do this forever. But he plans on doing it as long as his body is still cooperating. As soon as his body doesn't cooperate, then he said he's going to hang it up. And one thing that I can say, listening to these boxers, is a lot of them know when it's time to hang it up. But they either make the right decision or they don't, like a Roy Jones Jr., and keep fighting on because of how they're looking in the gym, hitting the speed bag, hitting the heavy bag, hitting mitts, being able to get the road work in. But when you're a guy who relies on pure athleticism and your legs go and all that, then you have trouble when you're in that ring, especially in the upper 30s, early 40s. Triple G doesn't rely on raw athleticism. He has a great ring IQ, but he relies on his power. His fighting style hasn't changed that much. He does get hit more, but he still has that power. Where guys like Roy Jones, relied a lot on his speed, and he had power, but he wasn't a guy to keep his hands up and use a lot of head movement. He just was just a lot of foot, a lot of his legs, a lot of raw athleticism, man, with Roy Jones Jr. He just did stuff in the ring that was beyond comprehension. But for Triple G, he's going to continue fighting on, man. He even addressed how Canelo fought, 8 times over the last 4 years. Triple G's only fought 4, 2 huge layoffs. And he said Canelo hooked up with the right promoter, and they were able to get him active and shuffle him around into different fights and get him wins. He's like, he doesn't feel that he needs to demonstrate to prove anything to anybody. And he says he just needs to go in there and do like he's always done, which is his job. And he's just glad to be active right now. So very good to see Triple G giving Canelo the business. In my opinion, Triple G's legacy is cemented. Canelo's legacy is cemented. But Triple G deserves to get in there and get an opportunity to finally get a win against Canelo. Because in my opinion, he won those first 2 fights. I'm surprised that Canelo's actually taking this fight. And the reason I'm going to say that is when Canelo was talking during the press conference, he was suggesting that Triple G never brought up his name over the last couple of years. He never ever talked about fighting him. Nothing at all. But Triple G explained what happened. That Canelo had there were legal issues, and Canelo had broke his contract with DAZN, which Triple G's lined up underneath. And as a result, remember, Canelo went over to PBC for a while. And that also created a delay in them having to fight. And there was some legal woes going on between Canelo, Matchroom, DAZN, and De La Hoya. Remember, Canelo broke lock with De La Hoya. So Triple G said he wanted to get the fight. But after a while, he just gave up hope. Because every time he was trying to make the fight, there was something going on with Canelo. So Triple G said he wasn't the problem. It was Canelo's situation. He said just now the stars are lining up and he gets that opportunity to kind of redeem himself and to get fair treatment in a fight. So I'm glad he's talking. See, because Triple G didn't have to say any of this. And if you ask me, I believe what Triple G is saying. Not because he's always smiling and showing off 32 of his teeth, but it just makes sense. What he's saying makes sense. He's not out here cussing. He's not raising his voice. He's not looking for a confrontation. He's not taking it to the stupid. Everything he says is logical. It makes sense. The timeline, everything, it all adds up. So I tend to believe Triple G. Now, one thing I will say is I still feel, I know a lot of people don't like that guy, Abel Sanchez, Triple G's ex-trainer. I still feel Triple G should have remained with Abel Sanchez, but it is what it is. But I don't like when like Abel Sanchez, right? He comes out talking about how he wishes the best for Triple G, but he's saying Canelo's gonna just basically beat his face in. Now, if you don't have anything nice to say, Abel Sanchez, sit down with your big mustache and shut up. Like, that's really how I feel. He's sour because Triple G didn't want to give him any of that big money he was getting from DAZN. I think Triple G wanted to pay him less than what he was paying him or the same amount. And Abel Sanchez's thing was, no, I know my worth. I deserve more. You're not going to treat me like that. Yeah, you're the fighter, but we got to this point together. And I don't quite disagree with him, you know. I don't quite disagree with him on that. But I do feel like you're not bigger than the fighter, okay? And it is what it is. But I feel like Triple G looked better when he was with him. Daniel Jacobs looked better when he was with Rozier. He left him and he looked horrible. Amir Khan has never looked the same. He's bounced around from trainer to trainer to trainer to trainer. And he's really not looked the same. And with Adrian Broner, how he looked when he first came into boxing, all the way up to Marcos Maidana. Then he starts bouncing around from trainer to trainer to trainer, and he just hasn't looked the same. So I think consistency is key, man. Miguel Cotto, when he left his uncle, he looked okay with Pedro Diaz, but when he hooked up with Freddie Roach focused on his strengths, was that big left hook, got him back on the map, got him back in some huge fights, and helped to extend his career, which was a great thing for Miguel Cotto. But sometimes, you know, these guys just need to stay with their team. Even Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley left his dad. I get it. Felt like his dad maybe couldn't keep up. He wanted someone who could keep up with him. But Shane Mosley just never really looked the same, you know. I just feel that some of these guys made decisions to leave their trainers when they shouldn't have. Should have stayed where they were. And Golovkin is one of those guys. But that's neither here nor there. Can't wait to see these guys fight. The more Golovkin talks, the more Canelo talks, the more I learn about what's going on behind the scenes, things that we were not privy to, and now we're becoming privy to. I really feel that Canelo did not want to fight Triple G, but he is taking that fight because DAZN is forcing him to take it because they know that's a big money fight, and DAZN is trying to recoup their losses over the past few years. You guys remember, I just did a video about this. I'm going to do another one, and I'm going to try to get into more specifics. You need to pay attention to what's going on with Eddie Hearn and DAZN. These fights that are being made are huge fights, a lot of money in it, but there's a lot of money on the back end for Eddie Hearn and DAZN. I really think these guys are in a kind of fight or flight mode over there, and they're doing whatever is necessary to give them the best chance of making a huge profit because they're taking huge losses. Now, after Canelo and Triple G, I don't know what else is going to happen, but you better believe Canelo's going to keep fighting, and they're going to fight him and run him and drive him until the wheels fall off. They're going to do the same thing with AJ, and if they were to get a Tank Davis or another big-name fighter, they're going to sit there and put them on the DAZN pay-per-view, and they're going to push those guys until these guys just basically can't perform no more, and they've at least broken even. I really think something's going on over there, man. And I have reason to believe that. But in regards to Canelo and Triple G, yeah, man, it's a good fight. Some people feel like the fight's happening too late. I don't think so. I think this is a good opportunity, man. Canelo's looking pretty normal, looking sluggish, in my opinion. Canelo's been fighting for a long time. He's not your normal 32-year-old, 33-year-old, however old he is. Canelo's been fighting since he's been 15 as a pro. It's a lot of damn miles, man. 15, 16, 17 years. It's not normal. So don't be surprised if that shows up in the ring with Triple G. But still going to be a good fight. That being said, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Shout out to the veterans. Triple G's not going for the BS. He deep down believes Canelo was trying to cheat or had cheated in those fights. And he still feels Canelo, it may be something in the system. And I know Canelo's going to come out swinging. He doesn't like that. Now, Canelo, one thing about Canelo, before I end this video, right? Canelo speaks and understands English better than most 9th, 10th grade kids out here. Canelo can say what he wants, like he doesn't understand English. He understands English. He understands profanity, and he knows how to talk. So he can sit here and pretend he doesn't understand when somebody's saying something, like when Caleb Plant called him a mother effer, right? He said something about F his mother. But when he sure as hell told Andre, you know, get the F out of here, mother F or whatever he said to him, right? He sure as hell didn't have an issue with English then. When he comes out here talking about all the things Golovkin has said about him, he didn't misunderstand any of that because of a language barrier. So Canelo picks and chooses when he can and can't speak English and can and can't understand English. So Canelo needs to kill that bullshit. Because that mug speak, like I said, he's speaking English better than a damn 9th and 10th grade students out here. So he can kill that noise. Canelo out here playing everybody, man. But anyway, I want Triple G to win. I do. And I'm just going to be real with you, man, because they robbed him in those first 2 fights. But anyway, I'm out of here, man. Y'all take care. I'm in the breeze.